Okay, our lesson for today is on agreement, and we're going to start with subject-verb agreement. And subject-verb agreement can be a little tricky, um, so this video may be a little longer because I'm going to try and give you as many details and helps as I can to just enable you to succeed on the quizzes and tests and to help you get this correct in your own writing. So, subjects and verbs must agree in both person and number. And for the most part, subject-verb agreement is easy because you speak English. You would never say, I be going to the store. You would say, I am going to the store. You know how to make your verb agree with the subject. However, subject-verb agreement can be difficult in certain situations. So these are the ones we're going to address. The first circumstance is when the subject and verb are separated by other words. This can prove tricky, especially in a test or on a quiz question. So, this is the type of question you would see for subject-verb agreement, and you would have to choose a box of oranges arrives or a box of oranges arrive at the house each month. Which is the correct verb? Do you choose the singular or the plural? So, what you want to do here is to ask yourself, what is the actual subject of the sentence? And the correct answer is box. A box arrives at the house each month. Now, many students would be tempted to choose arrive because of the plural word oranges. Oranges arrive at the house. However, that is not the actual subject of the sentence. The subject is box. So, another similar example, the group of noisy students stampede down the hallway. Now that you are enabled with a little more knowledge, go ahead and in your mind, just choose the one that you think is correct. And the answer is group. The group stampedes down the hallway. So that's the subject of the sentence. Group is singular. It's a collective noun, so it represents one group. One group stampedes down the hallway. We'll talk a little bit more about collective nouns later, but hopefully that makes sense so far. Another time when subject-verb agreement can be tricky is when you're dealing with compound subjects. And we're going to break this down into different types of compound subjects, starting with when you have two ideas connected with the word and. So here's an example. The body of his work and his excellent style speaks or speak volumes for his reputation. So look where that conjunction is, the body of his work and his style. Which is the correct verb? It is speak. All right, you're going to go with the plural verb speak. Body and style, they speak volumes for his reputation. So this is what I would say, a simple compound subject, and it is usually going to be plural when you have two words joined by and. All right, they speak volumes. There are a couple exceptions, such as in a sentence like this, macaroni and cheese. And this one you probably can hear that the correct verb choice is. Macaroni and cheese is my favorite side dish. Now, why do we treat this one as singular instead of plural, as in the earlier example? And that's because we have a compound subject representing a singular idea, like apple pie and ice cream is my favorite dessert. So hopefully that makes sense. That's just a little exception there. You also have a compound subject using and. It's a little different when you have a word preceding the subject like each and every. So look at this sentence. Every candidate and criminal suspect deserves or deserve. So we have candidate and criminal suspect. You would think it would be plural. They deserve a fair hearing. But because of the use of the word every, it is deserves. You go with the singular verb. Everyone deserves a fair hearing. And so compound subjects preceded by each or every create a different type of construct where it takes a singular form because we're singling out. Everyone, each one deserves a fair hearing. We also have compound subjects that use words that are linked using the words or neither nor, or either or. And these are going to be a little different than the first compound subjects we talked about. So in this instance, the verb is going to agree with the subject with the word that is closest to the verb. So neither the father nor the mother takes or take leadership in this family. So when you have that neither nor, you really just want to kind of cross that first part out and try not to hear that. So you would just say, the mother takes. Neither the father nor the mother takes leadership in this family. Neither one takes leadership. And if you learn that kind of crossing out trick, it can help you hear the correct answer. Either the faculty or the students is or are misinformed about the matter. So just in your head, try and cross out that first part and look at the second part. You would say students are misinformed, and that would be the correct choice. So when you have that either or, neither nor, or even just two words joined by or, you are going to go with the subject that is closest to the verb. All right, we also have to deal with collective nouns, and these can be a little tricky because collective nouns can be singular or plural depending on the emphasis in the sentence. A collective noun is a word that represents a group of people. So, such as in the word family. Our family loves or love the beach. Would you go singular or would you go plural? Now, the emphasis here is on the family as a unit, so we would go singular. Our family, this unit, loves the beach. However, in a sentence like this, the jury is or are expected to return to their homes today. This has more of an emphasis on the individual members of the jury returning to their separate homes. So in this case, we would choose the plural verb are. They are expected to return to their homes today. Emphasis on the individual members of the jury. So with collective nouns, you really have to pay attention to what's being emphasized in the sentence as to which verb you would choose. And finally, when you have a subject that uses who, which, or that, can also be a little tricky. So in a sentence like this, out of all the dogs, this dog is the one that barks or bark the least. All right, now this one to me makes sense, one that barks. The word one is referring to dog. The word that is referring to one. And so they're all singular. So you would choose that singular verb, one that barks the least. This might be a little trickier. Sally is one of the workers who runs or run during the lunch break. Now you might think Sally is the one who runs, okay? But what is the word who referring to? The word who is actually referencing workers, workers who run. So you would choose that plural verb. Sally is one of the workers who run during the lunch break. So you always want to, with who, that, and which, you want to look for which word is being referred to there. One more example. However, Jim is the only one of the workers who showers or shower afterwards. Now, you have to think, is that who referring to workers who shower, or who else could it be referring to? It's actually referring to Jim, the only one who showers. So when you have that construct, the only one, it's a little different than just the one who does this, or workers who run. So this to me is a little bit tricky. It may make sense to you now, but sometimes when you're sitting down at a test or a quiz, it can be a little more confusing. But hopefully that makes sense to you. Just do the practice. Go in that grammar practice folder and make sure that you're taking the practice quizzes and playing the games and all the things that can help you practice this. Okay, now before we start pronoun antecedent agreement, I'm going to mix it up a little bit and give you your bonus question to the quiz. So I'm going to give you a bonus question in the second quiz this week. And the answer, the question will be, what is Mrs. Bailey's favorite soda? My favorite carbonated beverage. And the answer is ginger ale. It's kind of unusual. Most people like Coke or Dr. Pepper or even Sprite, but I just love a good ginger ale. So, bonus question for the week, a little extra credit for watching the video. Write it down, ginger ale. Mrs. Bailey loves ginger ale. Okay, pronoun antecedent agreement. A pronoun must agree with the word to which it refers, and that is called the antecedent. So don't let that word, if you've never heard the word antecedent before, don't let that scare you. It's really pretty simple. So in a sentence like this, Sally ran through the woods as if she were being chased by wolves. So our pronoun is she, and it's referring back to Sally. Sally is the antecedent. So that is all the word antecedent means. So Sally and she are both singular, and they're both in the third person. You wouldn't say Sally ran through the woods as if I were being chased by wolves. That doesn't make sense. So they have to agree. Now, pronoun antecedent agreement, the rules that we just covered in subject-verb agreement, they apply as far as compound subjects and collective nouns. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here. I'm going to give you a few examples of what I mean by that, by the same rules apply. So here, Troy and his girlfriend, compound subject, went on their usual Friday night date. So we would have a plural pronoun there to refer back to this compound subject, Troy and his girlfriend. Or we talked about how each and every creates a singular construct, so each dog and cat has its own personality. You wouldn't say their, you would say its. Each one has its own personality. Does that make sense? Can you see the carryover? Here's another example. The team prepared for its upcoming game. We treat the team as singular. It's being emphasized as a unit here. Whereas in this sentence, the group decided to split and go their separate ways. Here we use the plural pronoun their to refer back to group because the emphasis is on the individual members. All right, a couple other things to remember with pronouns is that indefinite pronouns are always singular. Now, indefinite pronouns are words like somebody, everyone, someone, everybody. Those are indefinite pronouns. And so this is a mistake I actually see a lot more in essays than anywhere else. So in this sentence, somebody left his or their laptop in the classroom. Because here's the thing, it doesn't sound wrong to say somebody left their laptop in the classroom. And why do we choose their? All right, because we don't know the gender. It's a person. Somebody left a laptop in the classroom. We don't know if it's a his or a her, so we just cover and say their. However, the correct answer is his because we're just talking about one person. Somebody, some person left his laptop in the classroom. Now, you could say his or her, and your textbook talks about that, his or her. However, to me, that's very clunky in your writing, and you can just say his. We know you mean a girl or a boy. Or you could just say her. Just pick one and be consistent. Somebody left his laptop in the classroom. Everyone must wait his or their turn in line. Every person, not many people, but every person, singular, must wait his turn in line. So you can see with these sentences, I've emphasized the words body and one, and maybe that'll just help you remember that those words just represent one person. Every person must wait his turn. And then finally, gender-neutral singular nouns can also be difficult. So when you're writing sentences about a student or a child or a teenager or a teacher or whatever, and you don't specify the gender, we tend to get a little waffly about that and just use plural pronouns because we don't want to say his and her. So, for example, in this sentence, the child cried because, now what's the antecedent? The antecedent is child. Child is singular. So the answer is his. The child cried because his ice cream fell on the floor. Even though we don't know the gender, we have to use the singular pronoun because the plural one would be incorrect. My friend won a trip to Hawaii and they or she can't stop talking about it. The correct answer would be she. My friend won a trip to Hawaii and she can't stop talking about it. So these are tricky. These are the ones that I see most in papers. And in fact, as you look at your graded essays, look for pronoun antecedent agreement and see where you tend to struggle with this concept because it does show up fairly often in your essays, and you need to be able to identify it on tests and quizzes. All right, that's all I have. Good luck till next time.